Sukho Buddhanang Upado.
Happy is the birth of all Buddhas.
Wesak
Commemorates the birth, enlightenment and Mahaparinibbana, or great passing away of the Buddha. As we celebrate
Wesak,
we should reflect on how these three events relate to our own lives. The birth of the Buddha was the culmination of all the great virtues he had perfected from life to life. He was born as Siddhartha, in a ruling class and in the lap of luxury. Yet he had the wisdom to realize the fleeting nature of all material comforts and sensual pleasures, and the courage to renounce them in search of the truth, the knowledge to put an end to all the suffering that accompanies birth, old age, sickness, and death. In the same manner, our birth in this present lifetime is the result of our own actions in the past. As a result of the wholesome and meritorious actions of the past, we are born into a good family and peaceful environment, with all the favorable conditions for material and spiritual accomplishment. Some are not so fortunate, owing to their past actions. We need to contemplate on the law of karma, that our present life is the result of all the past good and bad actions we have done, and our future will be the result of all the good and bad actions performed in this lifetime. If we follow the teachings of the Buddha to avoid all evil, to do good, and to purify our own minds, we will continue to be born in favorable conditions conducive to our final liberation, enabling us to transcend this samsaric cycle of birth, old age, sickness, and death. In order to understand how the enlightenment of the Buddha is relevant to our own lives, we need to understand two things. Firstly, we need to understand how the thought of enlightenment arose in the mind of the young prince Siddhartha, and secondly, what enlightenment is really about. The sights of an old man, a sick man, and a dead person led Prince Siddhartha to contemplate on how he and his loved ones will also grow old, fall sick, and die. Out of compassion, he asked himself if there is a way out, a way to end old age, sickness, and death. As he kept on thinking how he could help all his loved ones and his countrymen, he became more and more determined to find the answer. On his way back to the palace, he saw a calm and serene ascetic or holy man meditating under a tree. He thought, this could be the way out. I must try it out for myself. Thus he made the decision to give up his life of luxury to search for the truth. After 6 years of strict and austere practice in the forest, he eventually gained enlightenment under the Bodhi tree in Bodh Gaya on the night of his enlightenment, which fell on the full moon day of the month of Wesak. In the stillness of his mind, he began to recall his past lives, one after another. Next, he saw how beings die and are reborn according to their actions, or karma. Seeing his own past lives as well as the past lives of others, he understood the sufferings that accompany birth, old age, sickness, and death. Finally, he saw very clearly how suffering arises and how suffering ceases dependent on causes and conditions. This led him to realize the true nature of existence and awakened in him the knowledge of how to put an end to suffering once and for all. This is what the enlightenment of the Buddha is about. It shows us the true purpose of our life, to put an end to all suffering. All of us wish to be free from suffering, and we pray for peace and happiness. But out of ignorance, we keep on generating the causes of suffering, creating more and more suffering and unhappiness for ourselves and for others. In order to really overcome suffering, we need to know that there is suffering. There is the cause of suffering. There is an end to suffering, and there is the way to end suffering. These four noble truths encapsulate the universal peace message of the Buddha. The cause of suffering lies in craving, which manifests as both greed, wanting, and hatred, not wanting. Behind this is delusion, or ignorance in particular, ignorance with regard to the true nature of ourself and phenomena. The Buddha showed the way to overcome greed, hatred, and delusion through the Noble Eightfold Path. At some stage in our lives, we need to wake up to the realities of life and be prepared to give up the lesser happiness, temporary pleasures of a sensual nature for the greater happiness of freedom from greed, hatred, and delusion. We may not be able to meditate and become enlightened like the Buddha right away, but we can always apply his teachings to live a more peaceful and harmonious way of life, sowing the seeds of our final liberation and enlightenment. On the occasion of
Wesak,
we should reaffirm our faith and commitment to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, and make the strong wish and aspiration to grow in the Dhamma's path by avoiding evil, doing good, and purifying our own minds. The Mahaparinibbana, or great passing away of the Buddha, shows us how to die peacefully. We use the term Mahaparinibbana because the Buddha did not die like ordinary human beings. Ordinary humans fear death. Their minds are often confused and scattered. The Buddha passed away with perfect mindfulness and awareness. In his last moments of life, the Buddha lay on one side in the lion's posture. He then pitched his mind to the different mental absorptions, ascending from the first
jhana,
up to the eighth,
jhana,
then descend a little, descending from the eighth to the first
jhana,
and again ascending from the first to the fourth
jhana,
before attaining Mahaparinibbana and experiencing the bliss of
nibbana.
reflecting on the Mahaparinibbana of the Buddha. We must realize that even the Buddha, the all-enlightened one, has passed on. What more ourselves? All beings that are born are subject to death. Such reflection will prepare our minds to face the eventuality of death and recognize the need to reduce and overcome greed, hatred, and delusion. It will teach us to let go of the past and the future and to remain in the here and now with great clarity and emptiness. The Buddha's parting words were, "Transient are all component things. Work at your deliverance with mindfulness." Through his birth, enlightenment, and great passing away, the Buddha teaches us the greatest lesson of life, how we can transcend old age, sickness, and death by reducing and overcoming the tendencies of greed, hatred, and delusion, and finally put an end to all suffering. BMSM is dedicating
Wesak,
2025 towards bringing the relevance of the Buddha's birth, enlightenment, and Mahaparinibbana to one's pursuit for a successful and purposeful life. There will be a series of activities revolving around the theme path of a successful, meaningful life in BMS month-long celebration from April 28 to May 27. To participate and join in the activities, particularly the BMSM Wesak exhibition at Pusat Buddhist Dhammayutta Malaysia PBDM in Putraya, Samadhi Vihara in Shah Alam, and Kajang Dimatu Center in Jalan Riko, Kajang.